And as you can see, William's in his office. And it's still gloomy. 3 days of rain. Today, or should I say this morning, it's gloomy. It's not pouring right now, so that's a good thing, because all I did yesterday is drive in hard rain, and it sucks the life out of you. It is 7:57 a.m. And you know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about logs. We're going to talk about logbooks. This is like the number one question that I get asked all the time, and I do not answer it. It's not something I like to talk about. And the reason I don't like to talk about it is there's a few reasons. One of the reasons is my lack of experience with it. The other reason, I don't want to tell somebody what I think you should do, and they do it and get in trouble. Because this is the one subject that I've learned that you can talk to 10 different people and get 10 different answers. Okay? So I'm going to use some examples in this video. I'm going to leave it up for people that want to comment. Now, I understand if you're an active RV transporter and you don't want what you do out there on YouTube, I can understand that. So I'm looking for people like that teach these classes, that are retired now, that are not doing this, that want to leave their comments down there to help everybody out there. There's a lot of new guys that have got into this just like me. I've driven my whole life doing things, okay, but never had any clue what truckers and everybody had to go through with logbooks. For example, for 5 years, I worked for Uber, okay? Uber's system is 12 hours on, 6 hours off. You can do that I did it for 311 days straight. Yes, 311 days. I worked 12 hours, take 6 off. Work 12 hours, take 6 off. Never knew what my 12 hours was going to be, but I only had to take 6 off. Then I get into this line of work, and they tell me I can only drive for 11, and I got to take 10 off. What am I supposed to do with those 10 hours? It's just crazy. And all the people that are sitting in all these rest areas waiting this 10 hours out, I don't think they really, I don't know. Sometimes I feel that smart people have no common sense, all right? And common sense, it just tells you that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But with Uber, I was driving in big cities, congested areas, airports, bumper-to-bumper traffic, people's lives in my vehicle, okay? And I could work 12 hours and take 6 off. Now I'm driving this big camper down these interstates in the middle of nowhere a lot of times. Yes, you go through big cities, but the majority is just out here. It's pretty easy to see if somebody's out there going to do something wrong. I mean, there's no guarantees in life, you know what I'm saying? But I don't understand why we have to do that, okay? Just wanted to throw that out there. Also in this video, I will tell you how I do my logs, but I'm also going to tell you what people tell me to do and what I haven't done, but I've thought about doing. And then I'm going to tell you other drivers that I've talked to. I will not give their names. I won't even say what company they work for. Some of them work for Wave. Some of them work for Indiana Transport. Doing this YouTube channel now, every day I meet somebody new. I meet people in the rest areas. People chase me down in the rest areas. People, when I go to deliver this stuff, I talk to guys. And these questions get asked to me because every time a new driver goes to work for Wave and they go to get their first load, a lot of times they text me and ask me questions, and I'll help them get hooked up. I'll help them do all that. Then they come back, well, what about the logs? And I'm like, man, I am not going to tell you how to do your logs. What did they tell you in class? Okay, so let's talk about class real quick. I'm somebody that had no idea what logbooks were. So when I'm in this class and she's telling us how to do this and what we're supposed to do, I couldn't ask her questions because I had no reference. You know what I mean? Now I've been doing this for 10 and a half months and I got a lot of reference. Plus, I'm looking at people that are, when they teach this class, they're teaching it to people that live in Indiana, a lot of them. They go out here and work, they come back to Indiana, they shut their logbooks down in Indiana because that's where their home is. There's a lot of us now doing this, that our homes are everywhere. Me and Robin have a room in Pennsylvania. We have a room in Colorado. We have a fifth wheel that's in Alabama right now that we move around and take everywhere we want to, wherever we want to be at that time. So, and then sometimes Robin finds a good deal on an Airbnb, and we might spend a couple weeks in an Airbnb. So we do not have a set address. We go wherever we want to be. I have a bed in this back of this truck now that me and her can sleep in. We've gotten pretty good at this. So sometimes we just jump in this truck and want to go on a road trip, and we will stay in a rest area. And then after 2 or 3 days, then we get a hotel. So we are not the normal person, okay? And for truck drivers that are gonna leave comments, you guys have a different deal. I already know that hauling these RVs with our own personal vehicle being leased on, and the way our logs are is different than a lot of log books that truckers are using, okay? Like when I did Uber, there was no, okay, I made a mistake, I'm going to change my log to this, or I forgot to add this. With Uber, they tracked everything I did. When I turn that app on, they know exactly where I was, everything I'm doing. And when I shut it off, and if I don't shut it off, then they'll give me a warning that I'm almost out of my 12 hours, and they'll shut me off. So it's done. There's no fudging anything, changing anything. And I wouldn't even say fudging as a word. I would say, I forgot to do this, I should have done this, and then you go in there and change it. The logs that we have, you can go ahead and do that. I mean, we're on that system where it's, what is it, 70 hours in 7 days or something like that. I mean, yeah, it's 70 hours in 8 days, okay. I mean, the 8th day, I think you get the hours back if you didn't use it, or you have to do a reset for 32 hours. So this is what I work with, okay? Now, the normal person, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, and this is the way I've basically been doing it all year, is wherever I'm, I just do my logs every day, even when I'm not working this job. It is frustrating. It's, in my opinion, if you're doing it every day, isn't there a bigger chance of making a mistake? And then you do get pulled over on your 3rd day, and they go back on your logs and say, hey, what are you doing? I'm going, well, it really didn't matter because, you know, I was at McDonald's with my wife on my day off, or on my personal day, but I'm logging my logbook every day. There's a lot of guys I meet that just log it every day. Now, that's fine when you're working all the time, but now when I'm done working now and I go and pick up Robin and me and her take off to Alabama, or we end up going to Pennsylvania to visit family, I mean, why am I logging all that? Now, when I was in class, the concept I got from her, she said, William, because I asked this question like 5 times in a row to try to get the answer. I'm like, well, if I'm here doing this or I'm doing that, she looks at me and she says, William, wherever you end your logbooks is where you need to start your logbooks. Make sense, guys? Okay, so I'm doing my job. I just delivered, let's say, for an example, I just delivered in Colorado. Now me and Robin decide we're going to go to Alabama, so I turn on my logbooks. I drive all the way down to Alabama, okay? When I'm on those logbooks, running them logbooks, I need to follow commercial rules, even though I'm not commercial. Every 4 hours is what they want us to, between 4 to 6 hours, they want us to take a 30-minute break. I might want to drive 10 hours straight and then take 2-hour break, you know, when I'm doing my personal life. These logbooks want me to put these breaks in and do that. So now I got to follow the logbooks, even though I'm not working, just so that I can have my logbooks be in Alabama where I'm at, just in case a job comes up. And 3 days now from now, I'm going, hey, a job just came up on the load board. I'm in Alabama. Why don't I run over here and do this load? You know, I understand that concept. That makes sense, guys. Does that make sense? Follow me along on this. Help everybody out there, because there's so many of us guys that deal with this every day. And then sometimes when we do things, we're not even sure if we did it right in the first place. So I understand that concept. I'm in Alabama. Now, in the summertime, that works because there's jobs down south. You can move stuff around. There's jobs out in Oregon and those places where I go. So when I'm out there, I'm definitely logging myself around those areas. If me and Robin decide to deliver in Idaho, but we're going to go up to Washington because she wants to look at waterfalls or something like that, I'm logging myself into those areas in case a load comes up and I can grab it and bring it back, make some more money. That all makes sense. But this time in the wintertime, if I'm in Colorado, there's probably not going to be a load for me to pick up in Colorado and move. Maybe one and every few months or something might happen. It's not going to be something you're going to consistently do. So why in the world would I want to log myself everywhere I go? Now, I've watched other YouTube channels, and I've watched other guys say how they log everywhere they go. That's what they do. It makes no sense to me. Let's use this for an example. I mean, this is how messed up, at least to me and some of the other new guys, how messed up the laws are for these logbooks. I'm going to use this for an example. You pull up to an intersection, right? You see a green light. We all know what green means. Green means go, okay? There's a yellow light. To some people, that yellow light means push right through that light. Just punch it, haul ass, right? The other people, there's a different type of people that says that means stop, even though we all know that red means stop. So we know that green means go. We know that yellow means caution and, you should stop anyways, or, you can go through, I guess. But we know red, you stop. And some people don't even follow that rule. Red to them means go faster and get through. But we know what that means. And the reason I'm using that as an example is it's just the one that popped into my head. We know what green means go, we know red means stop, and we know yellow is that fine line that people like to work. Well, there's a fine line with the logbooks, because on our logbooks, they're in your phone, they're electronically connected with the company. You sign them. I know they get updated to the company, because I know when I screw my logs up, I'm finding out all the time, so I know they have access to that. But before you sign it and you're done with it, you can go in there and say, oh, wait a minute, I can trim 15 minutes here because I left, I forgot to turn it on because I already get going down the road. We make those little dumb mistakes. We're able to change that. I don't understand how we should be able to change anything. I mean, I guess that's the honor system, at least with these logs. Now, and I know that hauling RVs, you don't have to be a logbook that's controlled all the time. I don't even know what it's called, guys, but it's where you just can shut it on and off, or whatever your stop, whatever you do, or it tells you when to stop. Ours is a little more open for what we're doing. If we were hauling other things like boats, I know boats are different. We can't do that. So there is a difference when it comes to hauling RVs compared to what truckers and other people do. At least that's what I've been told. And I know that me talking about this is just bringing up more questions than answers. But I'm going to get to that in a second, because I've talked to so many people now and what they tell me they're doing. Okay, and I'm thinking, well, why can't I do that? Is there a different rule between Wave, the company I'm working for, or if you were working for Indiana Transport, and D.O.T? D.O.T has their rules. Does Wave and these other companies add other rules onto this stuff? Because in my mind, after talking to a few D.O.T officers, that's what I come up with. So that's where I'm at. I just feel like there's a lot of waste when I'm doing these logs, and a lot of wasted time that I don't quite understand why I'm doing. And when I'm traveling around in my personal time, William is used to driving 15 hours a day. I mean, I can jump in this vehicle, Robin can jump in this vehicle with me, we can drive 15 hours, and to a normal person, that's probably 10 hours. So we have a lot of extra downtime, so then we're usually goofing off because of this job. But when I am done, when that trailer's not hooked to me, these placards are off this vehicle, this truck is my personal truck again. And then I'm driving down the road and I want to do what I want to do. So now I drive to a different state. I did it in 15 hours. Am I supposed to fill my logs out like wrong? Because I would be filling them out wrong, because I'm not following their rules when I'm driving my vehicle. You see where I'm going with this? You guys tell me. If I'm keeping my logs logged every day, do I need to follow their rules totally, even though I'm not doing their stuff? That's one of my questions. The other question is, why do I even have to do any of that? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I have talked to drivers that have actually came up to me, okay, told me what they're doing, asked me what I'm doing. First of all, William and Robin, we trust no one. And that's because you get older and you get burned in life. So we trust no one. We listen to what everybody tells us, and then we kind of come up with our own idea and we go that route. I don't trust anybody because I have this YouTube channel. Some people, that bothers them. This YouTube channel has been a problem, and there's going to be another video about that. Just from the last 2 years of me and Robin doing this YouTube channel, you find out who your friends really are. I know there's a song like that, and you find out the people you thought were your friends, you start a YouTube channel, they're not your friends no more, even though you did nothing to them. That will do that, and I don't know if it's because they think you think you're better than them when we don't think we're better than anybody. I did this to complain about my Riverstone and realize that's not the person I wanted to be. And then I did this channel to help other people. And that's all this channel is. And then I got so used to it that I just kept doing it. And now it's an everyday thing for me. Okay. But that's why we trust no one. So when I meet people, I mean, I was out in, let's say, I don't know if it was Oregon or Idaho, but I was out west delivering a load. Another driver was delivering his load. He acted like he had no idea who I was. So I mean, it sounded genuine, right? And I started talking to him, and we're talking about everything. He goes, "How long you been doing this?" Blah blah blah. And I told him. He told me he's been doing it for 3 or 4 years. And he goes, "When you leave here, do you log back to Indiana?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to Colorado, but yeah, I'm going to log to Colorado because that's where I'm going because that's what I'm told I have to do." And he says to me, he goes, "Oh, I don't. I'm done right here." I'm like, "So what do you mean you're done right here?" He goes, "I put down my mileage and I'm done." And then I drive to Indiana. When I get there, he hasn't worked for two at least his 32 hours or whatever it is. So you know that his logbooks have reset. So then he says, "I will grab a load, put down the mileage I have on my vehicle at that time." And he said, "Then I will go back to work." And he looks at me and he goes, "Once you're unhooked from that trailer, that you're not working for the company anymore. You remove your placards." And I said, "Yes, I remove my placards. I even remove my hitch and my mud flap and all that stuff. I look like a normal truck when I'm not hooked to a trailer. So I understand that part." And he goes, "That's what I've been doing. Been doing it for years." Because I know several guys that do that. I'm going, okay. So it's in my mind, right? I'm not believing his shit, but it's in my mind thinking, well, okay, either that's allowed to do or he's just filling me full of bullshit to get me in trouble. So I'm thinking about that. So I don't think much of it. And then I meet another driver that works for another company. And I ask him, I just flat out asked him. I said, "Do you log back?" He goes, "Hell no, I did." I go, "Well, I do that. I've been doing this for 10.5 months. He goes, "Yeah, I did it probably for the first year or two, but now I don't." And I go, "So you don't do it either." And I'm not going to give the names of these people, so don't ask in the comments because, it's just hearsay, I guess. It's what I heard from somebody that I'm telling you. But I'm bringing this stuff out on YouTube to everybody that's out there. Tell me if you've heard this, what you feel is the right way, what you've been told and what you've heard, okay? So then I pull into a rest area a few days later. And there's actually an agent in there giving somebody an inspection, okay? And I'm sitting there going, well, because I was going to spend the night there, and I'm just sitting there watching them doing everything. And then I get up to go to the bathroom, and then as I'm coming out of the bathroom, he's coming up. And I just look at him, I go, "Hey, officer," I says, "You got a minute? I got a few questions for you if you have time." He said, "Yeah, I'll help you out." He said, "Let me go to the bathroom first." So he goes to the bathroom. I'm standing out there. He comes back out, and I start talking to him. I said, "I see you're giving somebody an inspection over there." And it was actually, he was inspecting a truck, not an RV guy. And I told him, I said, "I'm an RV guy. I'm hauling an RV." I said, "I don't have an RV right now because I was coming back, and I had the empty, just my truck, and I was not my placards, nothing on there." And I said, "I just got a few questions for you." I said, "I hear so many different things." I said, "When I'm done, like right now, I don't have, I'm not hooked to trailer. Do I have to follow all the guidelines for a commercial driver?" He looks at me and he says, "Is that your truck right there?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Looks like you got all your placards and everything off. You don't have a thing." I says, "No." I said, "When I'm done, I take my placards off." I said, "I'm in my personal truck because I never know where I'm going to go from there. Sometimes I might go see family. Sometimes I might go goof off. My wife's with me a lot of times. But what is the rule for that?" He goes, "When you're not hooked to that truck, you're not required to log. You're on your own personal time. That's your own personal truck." So he just told me the same thing that the guy told me, that the other two guys told me. And now this is actually an officer of the law that actually does this. He was an older guy. Okay. And the reason I'm saying older guys, I want to just for you to understand this. Okay. I let it go. A few days later, I'm at Colorado, and I'm delivering my load. 2 other drivers there recognize who I am. We start talking, telling stories and everything. And then I ask him, I said, all right, guys, I'm going to ask you this. I said, you don't have to tell me what you do or what you think, but at least give me your opinion. And then I tell them this story. And the one guy goes, yeah, I'm just like you. I log everywhere I go. He said, but I take my placards off when I'm done, but I still log myself back. And then the other guy goes, well, I do the same thing. He goes, I got a friend that does exactly what you just told me those guys were doing. He goes, but I know another guy that was doing that and got deleased for doing that. Not with Wave. It was a different company. I'm not going to say who, but it was a different company. He got deleased for doing that. So I said, well, was he deleased for doing that? Or, that's what they just deleased him for because they didn't like him in the first place. When people, they can always find a reason to delete you. I mean, the reason they're actually getting rid of you might not be the reason they're getting rid of you, but they can use that for the excuse to get rid of you. Okay. So I thought, well, that makes sense. I mean, okay. Then I said, well, how are you doing your logs? He goes, I log everything just like you. Every day I'm logging. He goes, yes, it gets old. It's ridiculous. He said, I thought about doing what they were doing, but then one of my friends got pulled over. Okay. The officer that pulled him over, he said she was female. This is nothing about male or females, but she was young. Okay. And a lot of times younger people just don't know all the rules. I mean, sometimes they have a guideline in their head. They're new at this, just like us making mistakes. We're new. And he said, I don't know what her deal was. He said, but she shut him down for 10 hours. And he's been doing it for years that way. So he was shut down for 10 hours. So he said, I feel that if you do it that way, the gamble is you might get shut down if you get the wrong officer. And we discussed that because these officers are people. They can be going through a divorce. They can have a kid that's got health problems. They can have a wife that has health problems. A family member just died. They can let that control their job sometimes, or your attitude. When you have an attitude right away with them people, you're going to get the worst end of it. So sometimes you're just getting that wrath of theirs because of the day they're having or the way you handled it. So, or she just didn't know because she does more semi-trucks and all these other trucks and all these other vehicles than she does these RV deliveries and stuff. So maybe she was not totally right on what she was doing. So the reason I'm bringing this video up is I want other guys, if you were out there and if you've done this type of stuff and you've gotten in trouble, leave it in the comments. Let us know. Help the other guys out. Okay. If you're a DOT officer, leave your opinion down there. Tell us. Okay. If you work for Wave, you're, like the president of Wave, he likes to comment a lot of stuff. He likes to comment what it says in the rules, and that's great. Put that in there because a lot of us guys are not sure. To be honest, I don't want to log 24/7. I don't want to. If I need to do that to keep this job, I will do it because I like this job. Okay, but I feel that it's just a waste. I feel that you're setting up for an easy mistake that really had nothing to do with anything because you could be you're driving back to an area. For an example, I am going to Pennsylvania. I am driving through Indiana. I don't want to take a load because they don't have a load going to Pennsylvania and I need to be in Pennsylvania. Can I end my logbooks right now in Indiana when I'm there and then shut them down, drive to Pennsylvania on my personal time, do everything I need to do, come back a week or two later, pull into Indiana. My logs have me in Goshen, Indiana. My new load is in Goshen, Indiana. Okay. I just got reset for 70 hours, grab my load and take my load and drive 11 hours. You see where I'm going with this? Because the guys that live there, they shut down and that's where they're at. Us guys that don't live down or don't live there, but can we still shut our stuff down? Because I don't need to run my logs to Pennsylvania to go do family stuff. And when I come back to Indiana, see, these are the things. Because, earlier this year, I was just always logging myself back to those states when I was going to those states because there might be a load up there I could do. Right now, I haven't been going. The last time I went to Pennsylvania, I took a load. But if I wanted to go to Pennsylvania now, family things come up. Can I just shut myself down there, go do my things, and come back? These are questions I get all the time because guys are like, you know what? My home doesn't have reloads. I don't want to drive myself back to my home in another state, for example, when I just went through Indiana and I can end myself there. So now when I get ready to go back to work, I'm starting with 70 hours instead of 60 hours because I just had to drive from my home to get my load. These are things that I can't seem to get the straight answers from everybody, okay? But also, I want to get back to the DOT officers. I worked in the oil fields for a while. I ran a crew. I wasn't DOT. I had guys that were driving the trucks, and I was in control of them. So they all had to have, they were DOT controlled. I don't think they used logbooks or anything. I think they could get pulled over and inspected by DOT for safety reasons and stuff like that. I think that's how that worked, because I don't remember anybody running a logbook, but I could be wrong on that because that wasn't my job at that time. My job was to make sure they were doing what they were doing, and that was it. So I knew a lot of those officers because we'd get our coffees and our drinks and our food at all the same restaurants and burritos and shit like that, so I'd run into them all the time. A week ago, I stopped at one of the stations in Colorado that I used to go to all the time when I was working on the oil stuff to get a burrito, basically. And I'm walking out, and one of the guys is there in his personal vehicle getting fuel, says hi to me, hasn't seen me in a long time. I said, man, are you still a DOT agent? He goes, yep, still doing that all the time. Told him what I'm doing. Asked him. First thing he says to me, man, when you're not hooked to that trailer, you don't have your placards on there. You're on your personal time. You don't need to be logging anywhere. I looked at him, just shook my head. I go, so now this is another officer telling me the same story that I've been told by other people. But he's an older guy too. Older guys, I can use this for an example too. I drive the speed limits now or below the speed limits. I'm always respectful to officers, but I remember getting a young officer coming to my door. I don't remember what the whole deal was, but he was citing the law to me, and I told him that's not the law. And I'm over here trying to get it up on my phone because, as soon as you prove them wrong, I ended up getting a ticket out of this too. I ended up going to court and getting out of it. And he knew I was going to get out of it, but he gave it to me just because I guess I was belittling him. I wasn't belittling him. I was correcting him. Just like you should correct me when I'm wrong. That's why when I put all this stuff on YouTube, I don't know anything. Is the way I look at it. I tell you what I do. I ask you what you do, and I put that out there, and then we all learn from it. We all learn from that. But I pissed this young guy off because he didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and I was younger, and I guess I had a chip on my shoulder back then where I was right and you were wrong, and I was going to prove it to you. I don't anymore. I just let them believe their bullshit, and I just go on with my day, because it's going to be easier. I'm not going to have to go to court and miss a day's worth of work and everything, even though I got out of it, because once I went in front of the judge and told him and brought it up to him, yes, I was fine. But it was a pain in the butt. I should have just let that officer believe he was wrong. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, guys? This is why I said, two people can look at the law and get two different things. We all do that. We can all look at the same thing in front of us and come up with two completely different ideas. And that's the reason I brought this video out, is because I'm hoping that you experienced guys will put that information down there, and the people that are actually in this industry and know the rules, put that in there. If you tell me there's somebody out there that from Wave or whatever knows what they're talking about, and they put it down on that thing saying, no, you don't need to log yourself back. We want you to log yourself back because you're working for our company. Now I understand why I'm doing that. But when I hear from officers, and I know that I could get stopped by that one officer that the other person do and get shut down, and I couldn't, even if I argued with that person, I would probably lose anyways and probably be shut down longer or have a bigger problem. But I don't understand why something that has been around for so long has so many fine lines and is such a pain in the butt. Why can't it just be black and white and simple? And maybe black and white is you got to log everywhere you're going, William, and it's just a pain in the ass, and that's what you got to do. And that's what I'm doing. I've been doing it for 10 and a half months, and I'm sick of that. But if that's what we have to do, I guess we have to do. But the reason I wanted this video out there is because people ask me all the time. There's other people that want to get into this line of work that are in full-time RV life, and they're thinking about doing that, and they're like, I got to log everywhere. Yeah. So if this is what you got to do, you know about it right away. I can bring up another subject too right now. I am a non-CDL driver, okay? I don't plan on being a CDL driver. I know guys right now that I talk to every day that are CDL drivers. They're hauling things that weigh twice the weight that I'm hauling. That's harder on their truck. I've already had problems with this truck. I don't believe that this truck is designed to haul what it says it can haul, okay? So I don't want that extra weight. But there is going to be a time when I need to move my fifth wheel, okay? Legally, I can't haul my fifth wheel under doing basically as a commercial driver because it weighs too much. But as a personal driver, I can. Makes absolutely no sense. Why we have to follow some of the rules we have to, and any Joe Blow can walk into a dealership, buy a big 1-ton dually, just like I did, walk in and buy a 20,000 pound, 45-foot fifth wheel, just like I did, and drive down the road. I did have a lot of experience driving down the road and hauling things, but some of these people have no experience and do that, and nothing happens to them. But now, if I want to haul my own fifth wheel down the road, no placards on here, I guess I do not turn my logs on, correct? And I can haul my fifth wheel down the road? This is another question. I have other RV people that ask me all the time, well, what am I going to do when I want to haul my own fifth wheel? Well, it's your truck. You're leased to them when you're working for them, but when you're not working for them, it's your personal truck. Okay? You see where I'm going with this, guys? It's another question I have. So, if you have any answers for that, throw that down in the comments. If this is the first time you come across our channel, first video you've ever watched, put it down in the comments. We'd like to know that stuff. Also, if you can watch the video from the beginning to the end, it helps push it out to everybody else, and it helps our channel. It's another thing. So I know that this is going to come off with more questions than answers, but I need to throw all that stuff out there because a lot of this doesn't make any sense to me, and I really don't get any definite answers when I ask these questions. For another example, now that I'm doing this, I've brought a lot more people that are full-time RVers into this lifestyle. And even the ones that are not full-time RV lifestyle are bringing their wife or their partner. Let's just say partner. They bring their partner with them, okay? For an example, one of the guys I was talking on the phone the other day, he's like, man, I just drove out here to Vegas, okay? I'm out of hours. I'm basically done, right? I want to head back to, let's say, Alabama. I don't remember where he's going, but let's just say Alabama. I'm going to crawl over here in the passenger seat, and I'm done. My wife's going to jump over here in the seat in their truck that they both own, that doesn't have placards on it, that is not working anymore, and drive to Alabama. Okay, so his logs are done in Vegas, let's say. They just drove to Alabama. She can drive as much as she wants. She can drive the next 20 hours if she wants, okay? Is it safe? Probably not. But for people that do a lot of driving, 12 to 15 hours is nothing. I'll just tell you that. But whatever, they end up in Alabama. Now, his logs got him in Vegas. So for him to be legal now, if we have to log everything we do, he's not going to be legal. So he goes back to Indiana and he starts his new load, but he left them out there in Vegas. See what I'm talking about here, where I'm going with this? Okay, that's an example that he could do. The other thing is, he fakes his logs from Vegas to Alabama. Because the reason I'm saying fake his logs is because he's not driving. Does he still need to fill out his logs like he's driving, even though he's not driving? Now, this is something that comes up every day now with all of us that are doing this lifestyle, because Robin can jump in this seat. There's many a times that we're done and we're 10 hours away from Colorado and she wants to go see her grandsons. I'm out of hours and we do a reset, or I'm just tired and we go get a hotel. She can jump in this thing and drive. How do I fill my logs out when I do that? Now, if I can go back to that original guy that I met out west and told me to end my logs where I'm done, that would be simple, right? Because now I just ended my logs where I'm at. My wife drove us to Colorado. I'm all rested up. She's fresh over here driving. We're safe. You see where I'm going with this? And everything's perfect. Then 2 days later or 3 days later, we drive to Indiana. I get to Indiana. My logs are all reset back at 70 hours. I grab my new load and we go to work. We drive on out west. These are the questions that I have. So anybody out there that actually knows what they're talking about, leave a comment down there. And I know we're going to have probably so many different people say so many different things. More than likely, you guys will all be fighting through the comments that you're right and the other one's right. Because what I've learned from these logbooks is everybody has a different opinion, and a lot of people all do it different. Okay? But at the end of the day, somebody new that gets into this just starts doing this. He has enough frustration figuring out how to haul the camper, dealing with the camping stores, dealing with all the stuff, the people on the road. The last thing I want him to worry about is doing his logbooks right or wrong or getting shut down. Does that make sense? So if he goes through there and he reads your comments and he comes up with something and he follows it, maybe he'll feel a little better about it, even though we all know that he can do that and still get shut down for some other reason. Sometimes it's just a crapshoot is what this whole thing is about. But I never did this video before because I don't have enough knowledge and I don't feel comfortable talking about it. So when you guys are asking me about your logs, I'm not going to tell you about your logs. Okay, I'm gonna, if we're just sitting around bullshitting and I'll tell you what I hear from other people. You're going to tell me what you hear from other people, and I guess you're going to make the best guess decision on how to do that. But I think everything that I've talked about in this video has brought up examples of what I'm hearing, what other people are doing, and it's still how it's not working for them. But for somebody like me and other guys that are doing this now, that have our wives with us or our partner, that could actually drive us when we're done working, how do you handle that? Or are they not supposed to drive at all when they're in this vehicle, even though you're not working? Is that a company rule with Wave? So Wave, if you watch this video and you can answer that, then answer it, because I don't want anybody out there to get in trouble and do something they're not supposed to be doing and get de-leased. That's the last thing we want. But I also don't want to, miss out on something that we could be doing that makes our life easier. Personally, me, I don't want to stay 10 hours away from family when my wife is totally refreshed and been sitting over there for 3 days, playing on her laptop and giving me a hard time when she could jump in this thing and drive us over there and I could get rested up by the time we get to see family. You see where I'm going with that? And I don't know if any of that's even remotely possible, but it's there. And why? I hear so many people tell me that as soon as I'm done with that load, that I am not hooked to that company no more. This is my truck. When I'm driving down the road in this truck and I have no placards on it, me and my wife are going somewhere, we're doing that. And all right, guys, I could just keep talking forever. I know this video is going to be long enough, but I've been trying to use examples. Now, everything that I talked about in this video is what I've heard from other people, and I'm using them as examples and as questions. None of that stuff I've done. None of the stuff that I talk to every day, the guys that actually signed up with my name have done that stuff. They have asked about it, and we all have that same question all the time. But all this stuff is just, this is what we heard. There's nothing in writing, so don't go, watching 2 seconds of this video and say, oh, you can't do that, William. You can't do that. You're in trouble. You can't. Okay, that's not what we're doing. But I'm going to ask questions because that's what this channel is all about. That's what I brought this out here for, is to help people, help myself even. And I just don't quite understand some of these things. And also, when you're going to leave your comment, just remember your situation on what you're hauling and what you're doing might be different than our situation. So you need to look at that before you leave a comment, because I've learned from a lot of other people out there hauling and doing things that this tow-away division with campers has different rules than all the other things out there. So I hope this helps. I hope this video helps. If not, I hope what we get from the video afterwards helps people. Maybe we'll get all the answers we need from people that know what they're talking about. And you know how I do this. Always.